question 1. We have 3 characters in the story. One is Lord Vishnu, Gajendra, the king elephant, and the crocodile in the muddy waters of the lake. So this story has been set up somewhere in South India with having popular for elephants. So this is the story of Gajendra Moksha, we call it. So Gajendra is called king elephant, we call it, has a herd of elephants with him in the forest. He feels he has a kingly status in the forest. So the kingly status gives him a sense of pride and arrogance over others, and he is like the lord. He's the lord of the elephants. He masters. He is the master there. So one fine day, what happens while taking? So elephants, as usual, they move all around the forest. They take a dip in the water. There's the lake. So one fine day, they take a dip in the lake. Yes. So all the herd of elephants, they'll be taking a bath in the lake. But it so happens a crocodile watches all this and watches Gajendra, and then it simply latches onto his leg and they never let him go. So Gajendra keeps wriggling with pain and keeps excruting pain, and then he keeps crying, yelling, pain, excruting pain. So he doesn't let him go out. So at this point, what does Gajendra do? He tries all his best of efforts. Everything goes in vain. He couldn't come out of it. And this is a kind of a disaster situation where the rest of the elephants try to bring him out of the water, but they fail. The crocodile has its strength in the water, whereas the elephant has its strength in the land. But so this is where it is. So an elephantine ego, it doesn't help here now. So because he's weak, his water is not his forte. Crocodile, that is a crocodile's forte. So this is where the crocodile tries to pull him down and down, and this goes on for long time. I mean, sometimes it's days or years, whatever. So, but at some point, yes, the rest of the elephants give away. They leave him out. He's all left by himself. Gajendra has nowhere to go. He's by all himself. He keeps crying in pain. At some point, all his strength ebbs out. He's run out of energy. He's done. At this point, he calls out Lord Vishnu. Hey, Lord Vishnu, help me, the protector. So at this point, out of deep devotion, the elephant runs out of all its strength, all its power, all its physical power, it's done. It couldn't come out of it. At this point, he calls out Lord Vishnu. He calls out in various, it becomes a prayer. It's a prayer first. So at this point, after deep devotion, this is called power of prayer, we call it. So out of power of prayer, once the power of prayer is being heard, Lord Vishnu shows up at the side and he slays the crocodile. He gives salvation to Gajendra, king elephant, and then that's what we call it as Gajendra Moksha. The lessons from this, what we learn, as we see very often, we see politicians, once they rise up in the ranks, they shows up egoism and arrogance, and media tries to pull them down. This is very common thing we see. So what is the spiritual conflict here? Human egoism, human arrogance versus human limits. You may be arrogant, you can be arrogant in your office, but fine. As long as you're young, energetic, powerful, in authority, you can have people all around you for your support. But once you're in trouble, once they see your weaknesses, that's it. You're all by yourself. You're abandoned, you're betrayed, you're all by yourself. Nobody comes to you when in times of difficulties. Only few people are left. And in a situation like this, when you are in dire straits, that you are helpless, that you are just by yourself. So at this point, you are nothing but the prayer power. You just reach out to Lord. Lord shows up and he comes out with a solution, salvation from the problem. So this, we call it as Gajendra Moksha. We use this prayer for to relieve ourselves from the disaster or tough situations. We have this. So the lessons we learned, yes, egoism leads to misery, arrogance leads to ignorance, and then leads to problems. So everything is not permanent. I mean, there is nothing like you are always a powerful person. Times change. You may be powerful on the land, but not on the water. That's what the elephant needs to understand here. Yeah. So that is the lesson, the takeaway lesson here. you may be strong on your domain, but not on everyone's domain. At some point, somebody else will overpower you. They will try to pull you down. I mean, you may be a powerful president today, but media will try to pull you, looks for some scandal out there, pulls you down. You're finished. So is the case of celebrities. We often see in the news, they get caught in some scandals and media pulls them down. So so the lessons learned, yes, never be arrogant, understand your limits, be, I mean, be always be like the lessons you need to take. Yes, we need to understand our limits and understand the power of prayer. Always reach out to Lord in times of difficulties. So that's the takeaway there. Moral takeaway is the conflict is, yes, your arrogance, egoism versus your limits. So did I get this right, or any other questions, guys? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivas, for your answer. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Srinivas. Definitely, I believe it was clear through the metaphor and the analogy of the crocodile and the elephant of how we can have spiritual conflicts, of we have certain domains of where we are powerful and where we are not. And in the time of difficulty, through prayer, as we saw, the Lord Vishnu would help the king elephant in the time of need. In the same way for us as well, to lead us towards prayer.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for this one. Just a quick question from, I believe there were other panelists from the HinduSpeakers Bureau, and just for an opportunity to explain this one more time, there is Lord Vishnu, and then there is Shiva, and then there is Brahma.
Trinity, we call it. Yeah.
Yeah, and these three entities, divine entities, they are more of a, how you say, in unison. It seems like they're in conflict because there's the one who destroys and there's the one who...
It's like this. You can't say Shiva is a destroyer. It's like there is a we call it as a terminator. You call it, say, there is nothing like a process, permanent process. There's a constant change in the universe. So the changes in the universe, a process, if something is begun, it has to end. So Shiva is the dance of cosmic dance. We call it as cosmic changes, is symbolized by Shiva. The cosmos is run by Lord Vishnu, and Brahma is the creator of the world we live in. So that's how the overall, in the realm of Hindu spirituality, these are the three trinities we have it, and three attributes to them.
I understand. So then, how from my
creator, operator, terminator.
Right. So from the understanding of within that belief of how everything is one, would it be incorrect to say that there are separate entities, like spiritual higher powers, that are in conflict with each other? Would that be incorrect to say?
It's not a conflict. It's like division of attributes, I'll call it. Like this divinity in multiple forms, multiple avatars we have it. We call it as divinity in multiple avatars. And multiple avatars have multiple attributes. Hey, Vishnu is the take care of the creator. Shiva is the terminator. So he has different divinity avatars have different roles to play. It's like multiple roles, not a conflict.
If I can explain a little more.
Sure, go ahead.
Is it okay? Yeah. So if Hinduism, you may say, if you have to describe who is God, you may use the metaphor. It's the government who is the God. So when you need a driving license, you go to Department of Motor Vehicle. That's one of the division. So you're not going to Department of Motor Vehicle. Actually, you're not going to government. You are going to Department of Motor Vehicle. But ultimately, it is a government. So there is an educational department. There is a finance department. So work is all distributed among different demigods or sub-gods you talk about. But ultimately, they are all the God, part of the God or divine manifestations of God. If God is sun, the sun rays are a variety of manifestations. If you put a prism into it, you will see 7 colors spread out. So basically, Hinduism believes in ultimate, there is only ultimate one reality. Either you call it God or whatever you want to call it. And only difference is we have a lot of liberty to express the God however way you want it, including in some time you don't want any name or shape of the God. When you are, like, for example, when you are meditating, you can completely forget about all. You don't need any name, shape, and still pray to God. So because Hinduism has a lot of liberty, sometimes it get confusing. So I hope it's okay. It's clear later.
Oh, I totally understand. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Dilip and Mr. Srinivas. Just one question on the side that I just wanted to ask. I already asked it, but
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
within those different entities.
Yeah, there are multiple entities. Yes, absolutely.
Those different entities. Are there times when there were conflict within each other, but then it's not a conflict? So that was clarified.
Yep.
So thank you so much for that answer.
It's a story called Gajendra Moksha, we call it. Gajendra name is the king elephant, we call it. Gajendra means king elephant. So he happens to be the king of the elephants, and then he gets once upon a time while moving in the jungle along with the herd of elephants, he gets caught in the lake, and then the Lord Vishnu, or the protector, the creator of the world, comes and rescues him. So this is what precisely is the story about. So here the spiritual entities are from the story. So the elephant represents the human ego there. We call it as elephantine ego. I mean, very often we see human beings at elevated, once they reach a kind of celebrity status or elevated status, they have a immense ego. So this elephant represents this human egoism or arrogance, you call it. So that's what the elephant is about. And the crocodile it has its strength in the water, but not on the land. So when the elephant steps into the water, it loses. I mean, it may be a king of the elephant on the land, but when it steps into the water, it gets caught into the mud and difficulties and mud and arrogance. Our arrogance leads to miseries and problems. So this is what the story is all about. And then out of sheer helplessness, the rest of the herd of the elephants, they abandon it. I mean, after being helpless, and then it prays for Lord Vishnu, and then Vishnu rescues it. So that's what the story is all about. Yeah. So here the takeaway from the story, human ego leads to human miseries. Human arrogance leads to human miseries. That's what the lessons are. And when you say invisible spirit, the conflicts are between the human egoism, human arrogance, and the world we live in. In the real world, we always have problems. When I say problems, there are people who are strong in their own domain. We may be strong on the land. The elephant may be strong on the land, but when it steps into the water, it's a crocodile that's having the power. So that's our arrogance doesn't work. So that's what the message is all about. Yep. The people, like the crocodile represents your weaknesses, the elephant represents your ego. And when you try to show your egoism and arrogance on the others, how others take it, and and no matter how much you're strong are, there are times where people may abandon you, people may betray you, you may be all left all your own. So at that point of time, you have no one but the Lord. So it's a prayer. So this is from the story, and it becomes a prayer, and it's been chanted in various temples and various rituals. We call it as Gajendra Moksha. Gajendra means king of elephants, and Moksha means salvation. The salvation of King Elephant. That's what the story is all about. Yep. And then
I see. I see. Thank you so much. The final two names, you said it was Moksha and...
Moksha means salvation.
I see.
Yeah. Even Buddhists will understand it. Yep.
I
Moksha.
see. And the other one was...
Gajendra. Gajendra means king elephant.
I see. Okay. Yeah. And these would be the names of the spiritual entities of the good...
The name of the story is Gajendra Moksha. The spiritual entities are Lord Vishnu, the elephant, and the crocodile.
I see. So then,
and the circle of life, and with the circle of life, how it relates to our circle of life, how we face difficulties, and when you run into difficulties, you pray to the Lord, and the Lord comes and relieves us from the difficult situations. That's called moksha, we call it.
I understand. So the names and the titles of the good spiritual entities and the evil spiritual entities within your respective belief or scripture, you'd say one of them is Lord Vishnu, but there would be other
elephant Gajendra, and the crocodile.
I see. So there would be a total of three?
Three.
I see.
In my story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. So now
we have a great learning experience from a single cell unity called the COVID virus. The COVID coronavirus does not discriminate whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Hindu, or a scientific person. It attacks you regardless of who you are. So even at the level of nature, a human being is a human being. We're all one when you say that we're all one. Medicine, sickness, illness does not differentiate. We have created these differences thinking we are the most intelligentsia in the universe, the human being. So I can create orders, things that people should follow, rules that I want to set as dictators. But ultimately that will fail. We are going to have different ways of understanding that one reality, that one truth, that we are all one. I just wanted to give that statement.
There's one sentence that describes Hindu thought. It would be Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. That means one existence is called by different names by wise people. And what we saw today is a manifestation of that people from different backgrounds, different religions, different perspectives coming together and giving their perspectives. But what the scripture says is the existence is one, the truth is one. And there are many ways of articulating it. And that's what we saw today. Thank you very much.